It's time now for our Common Ground segment. Joining us tonight, Florida Republican Congressman Gus Bilirakis and Illinois Democratic Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky. Thank you both for being here. You know, we try to bring lawmakers from both sides of the aisle and talk about things that are actually getting done on Capitol Hill. We obviously cover a lot of the back and forth and the division, but you do come together. You have some common ground, Congresswoman, just this Informed Consumers Act that you both are working on here.
Absolutely. You know, Gus Bilirakis and I have really been able to work together to protect consumers and businesses and just the American people from being defrauded. And the legislation that we hope is going to be signed in any minute, we hope, into law, the Informed Consumer Act, will actually protect consumers from fraudulent products, from dangerous products, from counterfeit products. And, you know, too many consumers, and many of us are doing more and more shopping online, are finding that they aren't getting what they paid for. And a number of businesses have found themselves to be defrauded. So the legislation that we pass is that these online marketplaces are going to have to be confirmed to be the real deal. Mm-hmm. The Federal Trade Commission can help enforce it, and they will not be able to do their business online if they're found to be not who they say they are.
And Congressman Bilirakis, that's important for businesses that they're losing money for all of these people that are doing fraudulent, counterfeit, or stolen goods out on the marketplace.
Yeah, and what it's doing is, and I know that Fox had a report today, it's contributing to the inflation issue. What's happening is these criminals are going into the stores and they're stealing the products and selling them on the market, in the marketplaces, just as you see on the monitor. But they're selling in the marketplaces. So the platforms, we need to hold the platforms accountable because the information needs to be given to the consumers that purchase these products. So we want to prevent this retail crime that's going on. And again, all of our purchasers, the consumers, need to know where they're purchasing the item, so that they can hold these, first of all, hold these third-party sellers accountable. So we want to prevent this crime that is happening all over the country. And it's very important that we get this bill through. We passed it out of the House recently, and Jan did an outstanding job. And now we got to get it through the Senate and get it on the president's desk as soon as possible.
Congressman, or Congresswoman, for people who look at Washington and say it's broken, what do you say to them?
Well, I think they really ought to look at the Consumer Protection and Commerce Subcommittee, because even if we disagree on a bill and we don't pass a bill, we are really working together to find common ground, and we have found it on a number of different kinds of issues. Gus and I have sent letters to TikTok, for example, where a lot of our kids are online about the problems that have arisen there. Gus passed a bill I was happy to support that had to do with helping our businesses to be able to get the kind of funding they need from the government. So Gus and I I was able to support a bill that he had called Brand USA, where we're actually providing more money to businesses that want to be able to expand and to help extend the brand of the United States of America. So there's a lot of things that we've been able to work together on. I think that one of the most important is, and we still haven't gotten it over the finish line, but the privacy bill, the American Online Privacy and Protection Act that we want to get passed, that would make consumers feel more confident when they're online. We have bipartisan support coming out of our committee almost unanimously that it happens more than you think, at least in our committee it does.
Congresswoman, what about today, and this may be not common ground with your Republican colleagues, about sick leave? This had to deal with the railway agreement. And you've been pushing for that. It's not going to be a part of this deal. The president said he was disappointed, but eventually it's going to get done. It seemed to kick it down the road. Where do you think about that?
Well, first of all, let me strongly say that I support people being able to get sick leave, and especially people who work on a dangerous industry like on the railroads. So I certainly support it. I think that having a rail strike would be really unfortunate. I voted for both pieces of the legislation, and there was a separate vote on the extending for the workers' advantages. So I support that, but I am also understanding how desperate it would be if we had a rail strike right now. But I want to tell you, the railroads are making record profits, and it seems to me that more does need to go to the railroad workers who absolutely deserve the paid leave.
Where are you on that, Congressman Bill?
Yeah, I disagree. See, on the consumer protection issues, we agree, and it's so very important that we pass this legislation on behalf of the American people. I don't think Congress should be intervening in this. I don't think it's their place to intervene in a dispute like this. So I voted no.
Yeah. There are going to be things that you disagree with and different, you come from different sides of the aisle. But last word to both of you, are there other things that you see on the agenda that potentially you two or your colleagues from both sides of the aisle could be working on? Congressman, then Congresswoman.
You know, one thing that I find is that we are driven by what is really nonpartisan issues that consumers bring to us. And this whole issue of big tech and the dangers and the concerns that people have when they are on the computer, they want to know that they're not going to have their information, their private information, stolen, that they will have the opportunity to control it themselves. That is what is in our privacy bill. This is not Republicans or Democrats. This is the vast majority of Americans who feel uncomfortable online. So I think there's going to continue to be a number of things that we're going to have to do when it comes to all of our work on computers right now, or people don't feel confident. So I think we absolutely can do a whole lot more, and that we can work together, whoever is in the majority in the Congress.
Last word, Congressman.
I agree, and this is a nonpartisan issue, the Privacy Act, but it's so very important that we protect this information, particularly for our children who are being affected by this. You know, China, what they're doing with TikTok, that needs to be looked into. Jan and I wrote letters to Google and Apple on this particular case. They need to be held accountable. They need to protect our consumers. These are nonpartisan issues. We passed it out of the committee for the first time in years. Actually, this is my first time being the ranking member on the subcommittee. But we passed it out with Jan, and I think there were 2 negative votes in the full committee. It needs to get on the floor of the House as soon as possible. It really is a must-pass bill, and we haven't given up for this year. We've got to get this done for the American people.
Congressman Bill Rackus,
And Brett,
go ahead.
Yeah, Brett, if I could say, you know, Gus mentioned children. Again, not a partisan issue, and we have been able to pass real protections for children. We also made sure that sleep products for children are protected, so that our kids aren't suffocated in the things that are being put into cribs, including inclined sleepers, et cetera. So we passed a Safe Sleep for Babies Act. And that's one of the things that we do in our Consumer Protection Committee, and we do it in a bipartisan way.
Well, Congresswoman Schakowsky, Congressman Bilirakis, thanks very much for coming on Common Ground. Spread the word up there. We'll get some more people in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.